Hello humans, it's just Martine, and today we're going to be talking about eARCS. First, we're just going to run down some basic terminology. Basically, an ARC, A-R-C, stands for Advanced Reader Copy, and an eARC is an electronic format of an ARC. So you're not going to receive a physical book, you receive a file. I'm going to split this video into 3 general parts. Well, really it's 2, but you'll see how that breaks down into 3. So the first part is going to be my specific sites that I use and the experiences that I've had, which is split into 2 because there are 2 main sites that I've used thus far. And then the second part is going to be my general notes and tips for you all starting out. So I've been reviewing books like casually on Goodreads for a little more than 3 years now. Sometimes that would just mean putting a star rating and I wouldn't put any explanation. So this summer when I was reading full time, I didn't have anything else to do because of everything happening in the world, the big bads, if you will. I decided to challenge myself and get better at reviewing. And I found out about one website where you could review books, and I got intensely interested in practicing because there was more pressure for that. And if I just the pressure on myself to be like, I'm going to write actual reviews for books, it probably would have never happened. But having the pressure of being like, somebody is expecting me to write a good review of this, then I could actually do it, and it became more of a priority. So the first website that I use is NetGalley. This is probably the most common ARC website that people use. I know that lots of other booktubers use it to get eARCs, and personally, okay, I know as a viewer of booktube, it's interesting to see people haul physical ARCs from places, but I already own too many books. You can't like sell ARCs afterwards, and the best way for me to get rid of books after I don't want them anymore is selling them at the used bookshop. And it's just more convenient to have an electronic version, because like right now I'm at school, but I can still be receiving ARCs. I don't have to change my address, etc., etc. Basically, all I'm saying is people are sleeping on eARCs. So I started with NetGalley. There are a couple things that I want to cover about NetGalley specifically. The first is building your profile. Now, I am probably the worst person to give you advice on this because I don't even have a photo, I'm pretty sure. But the rest of my profile is pretty elaborate. Like I have my Goodreads linked, and I have my YouTube channel, and I wrote like a whole paragraph about the fact that I love reading and read such and such many books in a year and try to be prompt about the ARCs that I receive and such. But I recommend that you do take your time building that if you ever want to get your requests approved in the future. And the website also has like lots of tips and tricks to help you make your profile more appealing for publishers, etc. So I'd recommend checking it out directly on NetGalley if you want those insider tips, and I'll have these websites linked down below for you guys. The second thing I have to say about NetGalley is that you also probably came to the wrong place for advice, because none of my requests have been approved to date. And I've been on NetGalley, we're approaching 2 months maybe? That's not a very long time anyway, but I have requested books and they have been denied. So, but that doesn't mean that I haven't read any ARCs for NetGalley. Basically, keep requesting books in like a sane amount of requests at a time, and hopefully one day you'll be to the spot where they will approve their request and you'll get a book that you're really looking forward to. I, however, have read at least half a dozen ARCs at this point through NetGalley by going to their Read Now feature. Again, I feel like people are sleeping on this for real, because traditionally I see people reading ARCs that they got approved, and like that's cool and all, but like it's not realistic, especially when you're starting and you're a small booktuber like I am. You're not going to get your requests, like all of them or any of them really, approved by the big publishers. So I started with the Read Next, and to be honest, I don't think I've read a book off of NetGalley that I haven't enjoyed yet, and I only use that feature. You obviously don't just click on any random book and download it. Like you pick something that you think you would enjoy, and believe it or not, for something that's like you don't have to request to have it, there are actually lots of good options on there. I'm literally in the middle of one right now called Lazarus. I'll have links to it in the description, and I'm loving it. I am obsessed, and I'm halfway through, so come through. And the final note that I have about NetGalley is that recently, instead of letting you like send it to your Kindle directly or your Kindle app, or doing a direct download sometimes with just a file onto your computer, which I always thought was weird anyway, they have their own specific app. It's called like NetGalley Shelf, and download the selections that you've either been approved for or have downloaded through Read Now on there, and their ebooks, and they recently added audiobooks, and they even have some Read Now audiobooks. It's not as expansive of a selection as the Read Now for ebooks, because the audiobooks are just getting started, but I'm currently listening to one called Athena's Choice, and I'm enjoying the heck out of it. So do with that information what you will. The second website that I'm going to talk about is called BookSirens. Again, link in the description. Really interesting way that I stumbled onto BookSirens, because actually here I was merrily posting on Goodreads my reviews of NetGalley books that I'd read from the Read Now page. Again, you feel like there's no success in that. You're just kind of chugging along, doing work for the man. And I got a message on Goodreads, and I never get messages on Goodreads. And at first I was like, this is a little sus, but I looked into it more. So basically it was a representative from BookSirens, this website, and she was like, hey, I saw your review of this book, so I thought maybe you like reading advanced reader copies. I was like, heck yeah, I do. So she was like, you should join BookSirens. And I was like, cool. So I looked into it, and there are a couple really cool things about BookSirens. First of all, of course, I've never had anybody use this for me yet, but it is a feature they have, which I find intriguing. Publishers can specifically request for you to read a certain arc. Like, you don't have to say yes, but they request for you to read it. The second thing is that the profile, you connect like your Goodreads, your YouTube or whatever, and it does all work for you. It takes a couple days, but the profile on it is stunning. Let me show you. So BookSirens does the coolest stuff with profiles. Oh man, you can't see this. So it gives you a reader rank for different things. Like, over my time at Goodreads, I've reviewed 432 books. Out of those, 213 of them I wrote reviews for. My last Goodreads review was on August 25th. The average rating I give to books is 3.7, and 67 readers have been helped by my reviews. And then it goes and shows like trends of your reading over time, what you read and stuff. Super cool. I learned stuff about my reading that I had no idea about. You can even, there's this little tree chart that you can navigate the reader's tastes on. It says whether you're strict or lenient compared to other reviewers. I'm apparently strict in comparison to other reviewers. Like, I'm the red, so I, on average, give a lower rating than most other reviewers. The types of publishers that you've read from, the decades you've read from, the gender of the author. It shows you whether the book length impacts the rating that you give it. Same with the popularity of the book, whether that impacts it. I can tell you guys that the popularity and the length both don't affect my reviews, so that's good. Basically, it just gives you a whole ton of information that is super cool, so you can learn about yourself. But then the other thing that you need to know about BookSirens is that you don't request specific books. They give you books that you're allowed and authorized to read. And most of the ones that I'm authorized to read have already been published. They still let you read them because there are still reviewing spots. Like, each book has a certain number of reviewer spots. You join the reviewing team whenever you choose to review a book for them. I think maybe I've exclusively read books that have already been published from this, but that you don't hear about other places. Like, I read a great time travel book called Time Rep, and I'd never heard of it before. So, and they're not old published books, but the past couple years or so. Just whoever decided to put their book on there and still has spots left. But honestly, I think that's even cooler because especially on BookTube, people talk about all the same books at the same time, and I'm even guilty of this. I read some books because of the hype if I can get my hands on it from the library or whatever, but this is a lot of times you'll be reading books nobody else has heard of, and you get to blow them up, you get to talk about them, you get to inspire people to read them, which I think is super cool. So NetGalley and BookSirens, those are the two ones I use. I know there are a couple of other websites. I did some research before filming this video, and I found Edelweiss or something, and I made an account and fooled around on it for a couple minutes, but honestly, the interface was really terrible to work with. And I want this to be a seamless thing for me. I want to look through my books, I want to pick a request, I want to go, I want to get to the reading and reviewing part of reading and reviewing a book. I don't want to be fighting with a website the whole time. So lastly, I have some general notes. The first is just really take advantage of Read Now options, especially on NetGalley. I know when I first got on NetGalley, I was like, oh, these are the books other people don't want to read, whatever. That's not necessarily the case. I have no idea what makes it so that it goes on Read Now. You could probably find out if you did some research, but I don't really care. I just know that I can read those books. I highly recommend it because, again, you're not gonna love every book, but so far I've read over half a dozen books from them. I've loved every one. I've learned great things. It's been a fun time. I've grown as a reviewer, and it's inspired me to do more in-depth reviews for books, even though I don't get them from NetGalley. So definitely keep an open mind, because it's not a case of you might find hidden gems, it's a case of you will find hidden gems. The more work you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. Because I know for me as a reviewer, over time, the more work that I put in, the more times I download a book, I read it, I review it. First of all, the better my ranking gets on these websites, but then also the better reviewer I become, the more I'm able to read. It's a good time. And know that even though you're starting this way with the Read Nows, you feel maybe you'll never get to those big big books, know that as your audience grows, which it will as long as you're consistent over time, your opportunity will grow too. But honestly, as much as I want like my channel to grow and stuff, I'm having a good time reading the read nows and the books that other people aren't necessarily hyping up. And maybe, not that I love to not get approved for the books I request, but like, it's interesting because it forces me to pivot, and that's been really valuable to me so far. And I'm kind of scared of like losing sight of that if I'm allowed to read these bigger books. But I'm just gonna look back on this video from time to time and remind myself that read now is actually where it's at. And lastly, don't expect anything from putting in this hard work. I mean, it's the same with a booktube channel or something. Do it because you like it, because you're excited by the idea. It helps with your reading. It helps you grow as a person, not expecting anything out of it, like a cool free book or something, because you'll be really disappointed if you go into these things thinking that you're going to have wild success or get all these opportunities instead of focusing on just doing it for fun. So yeah, that's everything I have to say about eARCS, my experiences, where to get them, how to go about it, my tips, tricks, suggestions. I hope somebody has found this helpful. Shout out to my fellow newbie booktubers who I'm friends with, who approved the idea for this video. I was like, would anybody want to watch it? And like, first of all, Books with Nessa was like, yes, me. Is Bailey reading? Strawberry Lemon Books, all of them. Huge shout out to them. I hope you guys like this. If you did, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel for more reading, writing, and college lifestyle content on Wednesdays and Sundays. And some bonus videos snuck in here and there. And comment down below, have you ever used an eARCS site? Are you intrigued about the idea of ARCs? Did you enjoy this video? Are you having a good day? Okay, that's it. That's all I have. Until next time, bye humans, bye!